Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping into some really cool AI research. We're not just talking about finding the one best answer to a problem. No, we're talking about discovering a whole universe of different, creative, and high-quality solutions. It's a huge shift in thinking, so let's get right into it. So let me ask you this. When you think about solving a problem, do you usually assume there's just one perfect answer? We often train AI that way, to climb a mountain and find the single highest peak. But what if there are other amazing peaks we're totally ignoring just because we're not looking? Right. Think about a robot. What's the best way for it to walk? Well, it depends. Do you need to be fast? Do you need to be sneaky? Or do you need to save on battery? There's no single best. The real goal in a field called quality diversity is to find all of these options. You want to build a whole toolbox of great solutions, not just one single hammer. And that brings us to this really crucial shift in perspective. Traditional algorithms, they're like a global deathmatch. Every potential solution is thrown into one big arena, and only the absolute strongest survives. But quality diversity algorithms, they're totally different. They use local competition. It's more like different species evolving to be the best in their own little niche. It's all about finding what works in a specific context. Okay, so finding this amazing collection of diverse solutions sounds great. But it's been a massive challenge. And the earliest methods had this really fundamental problem that all came down to how they tried to organize everything. So the classic algorithm here is called map elites. The basic idea is you create a big grid, kind of like a map with a bunch of cells. Every time the AI finds a solution, you figure out which cell it belongs to based on its traits. If there's already something in that cell, they compete, and only the better one gets to stay. Seems simple, right? Well, that grid has a huge, huge flaw. Because, let's be honest, real-world problems are messy. They're complicated. The actual shape of all the possible good solutions almost never fits neatly inside a perfect square or a cube that you can just draw ahead of time. And this image just says it all. On the left, you've got map elites trying to fill in that square grid. Just look at all that wasted effort in the corners. Those are places where good solutions simply don't exist. But on the right, you have the new approach we're talking about, DNS. It doesn't need a box. It just naturally discovers the true circular shape of the problem. So much smarter. So you end up with all these headaches. You have to guess where the map starts and ends before you even begin. You burn through memory and computing power looking at all these empty spots. And worse, as problems get really complex, we're talking high-dimensional spaces, this whole grid thing just completely falls apart. This is where the researchers behind this work had a truly brilliant insight. They realized the answer wasn't to build a better box. The answer was to change the rules of the game entirely. And this quote is the heart of it all. Instead of sorting things into a grid, they came up with a simple, powerful rule. A solution gets kicked out if there's another solution that is both better than it and very similar to it. You're dominated, so you're gone. And this just reframes the entire challenge. Suddenly, quality diversity isn't about filling up a grid or an archive anymore. It's just a genetic algorithm with a really, really clever rule for deciding who survives. It's not a storage system. It's a new way of thinking about fitness itself. And this amazing insight led them to create a brand new algorithm, which is really the hero of our story today. Dominated Novelty Search. Dominated Novelty Search, or DNS, just throws the map away. Gone. It uses that dynamic competition rule we just talked about, which means you don't need grids, you don't need boundaries, you don't need to spend ages tuning all these annoying parameters. It just lets the solutions themselves define the space as they explore it. And if you want to boil DNS down to one catchy phrase, it's this: get better or get weirder. It's that simple. To survive, a solution has to either improve its performance, get better, or it has to become more unique, more different from the things that are already outperforming it. Okay, so how does it actually work under the hood? It's surprisingly elegant. You take any solution. First, the algorithm finds all the other solutions that are better than it. Then, it looks at that group of better solutions and finds the one that's behaviorally closest to it. The distance to that closest better competitor, that becomes its score. The weirder you are, the farther away you are from anything that's better than you, the higher your score, and the better your chance of survival. All right, that all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work?
Well, the researchers put DNS head-to-head with the older methods, and honestly, the results are pretty jaw-dropping. Let's take a look. Check this out. This is the walker test, where a robot has to learn to walk. But here's the trick. Some movements are physically impossible, which creates these weird gaps in the solution space. And look at that green line. That's DNS. It just keeps finding more and more diverse, high-quality gates. The other methods, like map elites in orange, hit a wall because their rigid grids just can't handle those impossible gaps. And we see the exact same thing here in the ant blocks test. The little ant robot has to get around a bunch of obstacles, creating this super irregular, disconnected map of possibilities. And again, DNS, that green line, just crushes it. It finds a way richer collection of solutions because it's not trapped by a grid that's full of empty, unreachable cells. It just flows around the obstacles and finds what's actually possible. So what about a simple problem? One that's basically a perfect playground for the old grid-based methods. Well, this ant environment is exactly that, a nice open square. And look, DNS, the green line, performs just as well as the specialized map elites method. This is so important. It shows DNS isn't just for weird, complex problems. It's a powerful generalist that works great everywhere. Now this is the real test. What happens when problems get crazy complicated with tons of dimensions? This is what's known as the curse of dimensionality, and it's where grid methods just die. But as you can see, as the complexity ramps up, DNS, the green line, just pulls further and further ahead of everyone else. It scales beautifully to problems we could barely touch before. And this might be the most mind-blowing result of all. DNS works even when you don't give it a map to start with. In these unsupervised tasks, the AI has to figure out what's even interesting to explore while it's exploring. The old grid methods can't even play this game. But DNS not only works, it completely blows the other adaptive methods out of the water. This isn't just an improvement. It's opening up a whole new frontier for AI discovery. So let's pull back for a second. What does all this actually mean for the future of AI and how we solve problems? Well, the implications are absolutely massive. Let's just quickly recap why DNS is such a game changer. It's adaptable. It actually learns the true shape of a problem instead of forcing it into a predefined box. It's simple. You don't have to guess at boundaries or tune a bunch of parameters. It scales up to handle incredible complexity. And maybe most importantly, it unlocks exploration in totally unknown areas where we don't even know what we're looking for yet. And that really leaves us with this final, really exciting question to think about. From discovering new drugs, to designing new materials, to even creating entirely new forms of art, what amazing things are just waiting out there to be discovered if we finally let our AI explore without a map?